I am in way over my head. Uh, I'm making this video. I think we often show the best sides of ourselves on social media. We very much curate what we present on social media. And as someone who is creating an increasing amount of educational content here on YouTube, on Instagram, whatever, um, I kind of have to show that I know what I'm doing. In this case, I very much feel like I don't know what I'm doing. Um, and this video, I hope it's helpful for other people. But this is more, I guess, I was thinking about all of this stuff, and I thought that documenting my thought process and my practice process would be a way of holding me accountable and also helping other people who might find themselves in a situation that is maybe beyond their technical, musical, whatever capacity, and how do we go about changing that. All right, so what is the situation and how did I get myself into it? um, I play in a group called Kles Story, which is uh, considered a klezmer group, but increasingly we find ourselves in kind of the chamber music world. The violinist and the clarinetist are both renowned classical musicians. And we have a tour in the Faroe Islands in July of 2025. I'll put the dates in the description and everything. And we're going as part of a cultural exchange initiative, or this idea of cultural exchange is what kind of solidified the tour. And the first concert on the run is actually not the entire group of Kles Story, but it's just the violinist, the clarinetist, and me. And we are playing some Faroese music. Now, I originally thought when this was proposed that the entire band would be playing adaptations of Faroese traditional music. It turns out that what we are actually doing is playing contemporary chamber music by Faroese composers. I am not a classical pianist. I have no classical training. Like, I started playing pop music, and then I very quickly got into jazz. So I can read music, but the music I have had to read in the past is either big band charts or musical theater. Contemporary classical music is not very much in my wheelhouse. So I am really kind of starting from zero here. And I got the music we decided on a repertoire about a month and a half ago, and I've had other gigs in between, so I haven't been able to really give it my attention. And we just had a read through earlier this week. I'm filming this on Thursday. We read through the pieces on Monday, which I didn't film because we were, I didn't want to set up a camera in that situation. We're all kind of tackling very difficult music, very new music, and I just didn't want to have a camera in people's faces. So the first step of this, of where I was emotionally, I guess, was just feeling kind of overwhelmed and, you know, staying in the space of I am not a classical pianist, I am not a classical musician, I don't know what to do. And that kind of overtook any progress I could make because I was just stuck in this kind of panic, deer in the headlights uh, reaction or response. And then I started to break it down of, well, what are the issues concretely? What are the issues in the music that are beyond my technical or musical ability right now? And what are the things that I need to really address and really fix in order to perform this concert? And in thinking about that, I realized that I am really a composer and improviser. That's how my brain works. That's how I perceive music. That's how I think about music. I'm always analyzing things harmonically or structurally, formally. And as an improvising musician, I'm often looking for patterns. I'm trying to find patterns, whether it's chord changes 1 6 2 5 2 5 1, whether it's a form, it's a verse chorus pop song, or it's an AABA 32 bar musical theater song form, whatever it is. I am looking for patterns. And one of the pieces we're playing is, I think it's a serial piece. I think it's a 12-tone piece, or it's certainly based in serial 12-tone writing. So it's a tone row that gets permutated and developed throughout the course of a 10-minute piece. But there's nothing on the face of it that suggests that there are patterns. So being able to parse through a piece by pattern recognition is not in the cards for this piece. So that's challenge number one. Challenge number two is sustaining my focus and my concentration for a through composed 10 and a half, 11-minute piece. A lot of the music I play, like I said, there are patterns, there are repeating song forms, there are sections that come back. Even in the most through composed stuff that I've played, like when I've played the music of John Hollenbeck, there's always space for improvisation there. And it's kind of a moment where, not that you can tune out, but the point of focus shifts. It shifts from the page to the band. And I am much stronger when my focus is on the band and listening to the band. My focus of being able to execute what's on 20 pages of written music is not necessarily my strong suit. So that's challenge number two. And then there are the obvious kind of, this passage is hard to play, this passage is not natural for me to play, the kind of obvious technical challenges that I encounter in any piece of music. So that's the third challenge, but that's the challenge I already know how to tackle, more or less. So it's the first two pieces. It's the pattern recognition and the focus. Those are the two things that I realized are going to be where the lion's share of the work happens for this gig. And so once I realized that I think like a composer, I think like an improviser, what I did was I recopied all the scores for myself in Sibelius. And this goes back to a piece of advice I had gotten years and years and years ago from the trumpeter Dave Douglas, that he got from John Zorn. And this was more offered in the sense of trying to beat writer's block, or to overcome writer's block. And what Dave said to me is, like, just rewrite the piece, physically rewrite the piece. And in doing that, what happens is you get to make the decision again, or you get to make the decision for the first time. You get to see in the act of recopying the score, you get to see the structural outline of the piece that is maybe not immediately visible if you're just looking at the part you need to learn, right? And so it was when I recopied the piece that I realized, oh, there's a tone row in this piece, and everything kind of revolves around this tone row. That explains why there are chord voicings in the piece that, quite frankly, I would consider impossible to play. They're impossible to play in one hand. There's a way, I guess, to split it between the two hands and then continue the other part in the right hand. That is, like I said, one of the technical challenges that I need to address. But once I realized that everything's coming from the tone row, then it made more sense in my composer brain. And it was easier for me to identify that, okay, these sections that are technically challenging, the information is coming from a single source. It's all coming from this tone row. There's another piece that we're playing that is much more in my wheelhouse. It is kind of an ostinato, figure-driven piece, a lot of repeated material that is in 5/4, 10/8. And I recopied that piece too because the way the composer notated it is in compound time signatures of 3 plus 3 plus 2 plus 2 over 8. That adds up to 10/8, which then reduces to 5/4. And because I come from non-classical music, I come from jazz music, I come from groove-based music, internalizing a clave is not new to me. And so just seeing it beamed, I don't need the time signature to say 3 plus 3 plus 2 plus 2. I just needed to say 5/4, and then I can subdivide the 5/4 into that clave. And reading it now in a way that makes sense to my eyes and my brain, now it's just the purely technical challenge of some weird octave jumps or something. But a lot of the intimidating first read based on how it was notated, I have now kind of overcome that because I've copied it. I've written it out in a way that makes sense to my eyes and my brain. The third piece we're playing is a traditional folk song that was arranged for violin and piano, and the pianist that it was arranged for is a classical pianist who doesn't improvise. So when I listened to the recording that was sent through and I realized, like, okay, this is an improvised piano part, really, that the composer then notated for a non-improvising piano player, that allowed me to think in my harmonic improviser way. So now I'm not trying to decipher every note. I really am thinking about what are the changes, what are the chord changes, what's the melody of the tune, when do I have the melody, when does the violin have the melody. And in that piece, because I've been talking with the composer directly, he's the one putting on this concert, or he's our liaison for this concert. I know that I have the liberty to kind of improvise my own piano part around what's happening. So it's really the 10-minute kind of centerpiece that's going to take the most work and the most attention. So it's about a week after I filmed the rest of this video. It's a very hot June 24th here in Montreal, and I just took a lesson with my friend Philip Chu, who for my money is one of the best accompanists and chamber music pianists in Canada. And we're lucky enough to be friends and acquaintances and colleagues. We went to McGill together and we've shared advice over the years. And Phil looked at the music, two of the pieces on the repertoire, and basically instantly knew what to do and how to improve my technique and my musicality does require basically rethinking how I approach the piano in a certain way. But it definitely illuminates the work I need to do, and kind of the objectives, both in terms of how diligent and vigilant I need to be in my practice time to not get impatient with the music or with myself, and just also some purely technical things like how to use the arm that are very different than how I play for jazz and non-classical music. So it's back to the shed, but I guess I would just say, don't be afraid to ask for help when you're really when you think you're out of your depth. Phil was very generous and nice, and you seem to have more faith in my ability to execute this music than I do right now. But also the advice he gave me will definitely assist already. Just in minutes after the lesson, I kind of feel like I know what the plan of attack is for the rest of the practice time leading up to the concert, and also realizing that there is more time ahead of the concert than I thought that I have. All right, back to previous me. Actually, just kind of diving in and going through the first read this past Monday kind of illuminated a lot for me. I was kind of, having not played the music with the other two musicians, I was kind of still in deer in the headlights mode. And then once it was like, okay, you need to get over yourself, you need to play, we need to rehearse this. Um, and seeing where the weak spots for them are as well. Um, that kind of cleared a lot of, it cleared a path for me to start really tackling this and to be less afraid and less scared. Um, the other challenge that I would mention is that I'm not used to reading from score. I'm used to reading from a piano part. And even when I've conducted ensembles and I've read scores, I'm not having to play. So they're two separate things in my brain. They've been separated in my brain and in my experience. Like score reading, you're conducting or learning stuff as a composer, arranger, whatever, or you're performing and you're reading from a part. But the idea of reading um, very complicated, dense music from a four staff score, clarinet, violin, and the two staves of the piano, that's new. That's not something I feel particularly comfortable with, but the only way to get comfortable with it is to do it. Um, I'm not sure if this is going to be a standalone video or if I'll make this a vlog of the whole process. But yeah, I just wanted to share that philosophy, that process, and hopefully this helps you to get out of the panic mode and to start analyzing in very concrete terms what are the steps you would need to take to tackle something that is beyond your current capacity. All right, thanks for watching. If this is where the video ends, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. All right.